Unfortunately, my first video ran out of time, so I have to go into a second video to complete the graphs that we were doing just a few minutes ago. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to graph the absolute value of 2x minus 5, and remember that we can't go beyond the given domain, the restricted domain. So if I go to 0, 5, I'm not going to go beyond that point right there. I'm going to graph 2, 1. I'm not sure where the vertex is for 3 and 5, 5. Now my vertex is going to be right in between those 2 points. We're not going to have a flat line because remember an absolute value makes a V. And again, the big thing to remember here is when they restrict the domain, you cannot graph beyond that given domain there. If you put arrows on the ends, you're going to be marked wrong. Okay, so let's wrap up the translations that we did. Remember, we have the parent function y equals absolute value of x, and then we have translations. If there's a number out in front of the absolute value sign, if there's a number inside the absolute value sign, or a number outside the absolute value sign. The number in front is a vertical stretch or shrink, and we'd have to determine whether it's a stretch or shrink based on the number. If it's bigger than 1, then it's a stretch. If it's in between 0 and 1, like a fraction, then it's a shrink. If a number is inside the absolute value sign, that will move the function left or right using the opposite rule, meaning it's going to go in the opposite direction of the sign. So if it's a positive, it's going to move the function left, and if it's negative, it's going to move the function right. The number on the outside of the absolute value moves the function up or down, and we call that the same rule, meaning it's going to be moving in the same direction as the sign. So if the sign is positive, we're going to go up, and if the sign is negative, we're going to go down. Those translations are ones that you need to memorize because we're going to use those translations all year long. And in addition to knowing those translations, we're going to have to write functions based on those translations. Right now we're working on absolute value, but eventually we're going to be using parabolas as well when we do our translations. So if I have the parent function y equals absolute value of x, and I want to translate that 1 unit up, remember up or down is on the outside of the absolute value. And if I want to go up, I'm going to go positive 1 because that's the same rule. We go in the same direction as the sign. If I want to go 3 units to the right, going right or left means I'm going to be inside the absolute value sign. 3 units to the right you would think would be positive because on the right-hand side is the positive numbers, but we have to go do the opposite rule. We have to go minus. We have to write the minus sign. 8 units down, remember the up or down is on the outside of the absolute value sign. And if I want to go down, that means negative because we're using the same rule. And then finally the last one, 7 units left. Left or right, remember, is inside the absolute value sign. And if I want to go to the left, you'd think that would be the negatives, but it's this opposite rule when we're inside the absolute value sign. So we're going to be going plus 7 inside the absolute value. Okay, your homework tonight is to work on page 349. Number 6, 7, 10, 12, 17, 18, 22, 29, 30, and 35.